is out of the country. Now the recording is started. We have reconvened with all members present except for uh, Councilman Range, who is out of the country. For those who are able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know if we have a flag. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance to
allegiance to the flag
the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And let us take a moment to remember some longtime Madison residents that lost over the past few weeks. David Green passed on January 21st. He was 75 years old, born on October 24th, 1950 in Jersey City, son of Methodist pastor Roy and Edith Green. He spent his childhood in several communities, including Jersey City, Bound Brook, and Phillipsburg, as well as Port Jervis, where he graduated from high school. He went on to attend Drew University in Madison, of course. And while working as a student there, he was working security for Mrs. Dodge at the Dodge estate. In 1973, he joined the Madison Police Force, serving for 20 years before retiring as sergeant in 1993. He went on to continue his career in corporate security at JCP&L, which he retired in 2012. He also served as a certified lay servant at the United Methodist Church right here in Madison. Inheriting his wanderlust from his father, Dave embraced a lifelong love of travel, while often incorporating his interest in genealogy and family history on his travels. He enjoyed many adventures by cruise and RV with his husband, John Bear, who he met on Valentine's Day in 1994. And nearly 27 years later, they were married on the steps of Hartley Dodge on December 19th. I had the honor to perform that ceremony. And travel remained central to their life together, with Italy becoming their favorite destination. Dave is survived by his husband, John, his son, Brian, and daughter-in-law, Michelle, his 3 grandchildren, and sister, Nancy, among other family relatives and friends. And we also lost Gus Pappas, age 87, of Harding, but with a strong Madison connection. He passed on January 21st, born in Greece. He resided in Harding for the past 44 years, but most people know him for the fact that he lived the American dream. He was a proud owner of the Nautilus Diner for 60 years before he retired in 1997, passed on the reins to his son, Chris and Peter. In his spare time, Gus loved to play backgammon, cards, tennis, and fishing in Melbourne Beach in the winter. And of course, going back to visit Greece in the summer. He's survived by his wife of 64 years, Christine, his sons, Chris and Peter, and survived by 4 grandchildren, as well as 2 great-grandchildren. He was predeceased by his daughter, Anna. And we also remember Dana Marie Esposito. She passed on January 17th at the age of 58, survived by her beloved husband of 32 years. That's Stephen, 2 daughters, Alexis and Sophia, 2 sons, Stephen and Nicholas, 4 sisters and a brother. Dana was born in 1967 in Morristown, raised in Basking Ridge, a graduate of Ridge High School in 85, went on to earn her bachelor's degree from Borough, now Rowan University. In 1994, Dana and her husband, Stephen, were married. Eventually, the 2 settled right here in Madison, where they raised their family. For many years, she worked as an ABA teacher's aide, that's applied behavior analyst at Central Avenue School, where she helped so many children with learning disabilities thrive and learn. We also remember Doris Clara Solantz, who passed away age 79 on January 17th, born in Philadelphia, lived in Madison for the past 56 years with her predeceased husband, James. Doris graduated from Abraham Lincoln High School in 64, later received her certification as a registered nurse from Thomas Jefferson Hospital in 67, and she was a member of the Nurses Association. Among her many hobbies was her garden, which during the summer months, she grew an arrangement of flowers and fruits and vegetables. She also took pride in cheering on the Philadelphia Eagles football team. She was such a devoted fan, she earned the nickname Coach from her husband and her immediate family. She is survived by a daughter, Christy, as well as 3 grandchildren. and she was predeceased by her husband, James, in 2020. And lastly, we remember Christopher Boyce Baker, who passed away on December 28th after a short illness. He was an experienced sailor, avid cyclist, recreational scuba diver, pianist, sports car enthusiast, a voracious reader, and a collector of canned spam memorabilia, which I thought was very interesting. Chris was born in Plainfield to Vernon and Charlotte Baker, attended school in Fanwood and Scotch Plains, graduated from Brown University with a Bachelor of Science in Engineering. He spent his business career telecommunications, starting at Bell Labs as an engineer, went on to hold management positions at AT&T and Lucent. He met his beloved wife, Janet, at Bell Labs. They married in '82 and settled here in Madison. He was predeceased by Jan by about a year. He leaves behind 3 siblings and their respective spouses. So let's take a moment to remember David Green, Gus Pappas, Dana Esposito, Doris Salance, and Christopher Baker. And let's pass our thoughts on to the family and friends that they leave behind. Thank you. And could I have a motion for the reorganization minutes of January 3rd, 2026?
I'll move them.
Second.
Any discussion, corrections? And there were a couple sent in that have been incorporated. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Okay, and then neglected to discuss these in the executive minutes of January 12th, but unless there's any changes, I'll entertain a motion to approve the executive minutes of January 12th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then the regular minutes of January 12th, 2026. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections or changes? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So welcome all to our first virtual meeting in almost 5 years. Hopefully everyone has dug out of the largest snowstorm we've had in about a decade. I want to commend DPW for all the work in the last 36 hours to clear our roads. They'll be returning to clear the downtown and some parking lot follow-up. As we know with the forecast for the next week, this snow is not going anywhere fast. Also, police, fire, our EMTs, electric department, we're all ready to respond. So thanks to all for being ready. We dodged a bullet with the limited amount of ice that came down. And we might have been able to hold this meeting in person as roads are now clear. Most people have dug themselves out, but we did have to make a decision, so we were ready to go in the event the storm lingered a little bit. So here we are, as I said a little while ago, a little flashback to COVID council meetings. And a few things going on in the past week. On January 15th, I attended a New Jersey Transit webinar on the Portal Bridge cutover work. This is a multi-phase process of switching the 2 tracks on the original 115-year-old bridge that was built by Pennsylvania Railroad to the new bridge, which they won't need to use a sledgehammer to close sometimes when it gets stuck. So starting on February 15th, the work will commence on switching 1 track to the new bridge. And during the cutoff over work that will end on March 15th, there will only be 1 track in operation, requiring all weekday Morris and Essex trains, aka trains from Madison, being diverted to Hoboken. There will be weekend trains to Penn Station. Several trains will be canceled during this 4-week period or 1-month period, and that's primarily due to redundancy with the current Hoboken train schedule. Hoboken tickets will be cross-honored by PATH and New York Waterway ferries, but you have to make sure you buy a Hoboken ticket and not a Penn Station ticket. And upon the scheduled completion of the on March 15th, the 1 track on the original bridge will be in operation, and 1 track on the new bridge will be in operation until the second cutover will happen later in the year, and we'll go through this whole process for a month once again. So for those that commute, please check the New Jersey Transit website for full details. And last Tuesday, I was honored to attend the inauguration of Governor Mikey Sherrill. Quite an event and quite an honor to be there to support our governor. And this past Friday, I hosted the Tory J second grade Brownie Troop as they learned about local government. The ordinance that they proposed during the mock meeting was that all people in Madison should be treated fairly, and which was, I think, a very noble ordinance. The discussion covered the concept that Madison should be welcoming to all. There was also a little comment that it should cover how babysitters treat their children. I'm not too sure of the background on that comment, but it was very important to the person making the motion. And it was interesting that the ordinance did pass unanimously, but in a surprise move, the mayor vetoed it. And I think it was more about showing veto power as opposed to opposition to treating all fairly in Madison. Thankfully, the veto was overridden by a 5-1 vote. So there we go. The Brownies making sure we're all treated fairly. And lastly, just something I have not been doing for a while is sharing some updates from the library. And just a few highlights from 2025, over 123,000 items were checked out in books, DVDs, etc. And there were also over 61,000 digital checkouts, which are ebooks, e-audiobooks, and so on. There were 887 new cardholders for a total of 11,000 patrons registered. The Chase Auditorium hosted 43 community meetings and 4 multi-session mini courses from June to December, because it was not available for the first half of the year due to construction. And one of their most popular nonfiction books was The Portrait of the Rose City, The History of Madison, by Frank Esposito and the Madison Historical Committee. So thank you, and thank you for all those that have joined us online tonight. And now let us move on to reports from committees. Community Affairs Council President Forte.
Thank you, Mayor. From the DDC and the Director of Business Development, the next meeting of the Downtown Development Commission will be held on February 19th at 7:15 p.m. in the second floor committee room of the Hartley Dodge Memorial Building. The public is invited to attend. Information and applications for the 2026 season of the Madison Farm and Artisan Market will be sent out before February 1st. From the Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber's third annual Rose City Chocolate Walk is scheduled for Saturday, February 7th. Please visit the Chamber website at madisonnjchamber.org for more information. Easter Fun Fest is scheduled for Saturday, March 28th. From the Community Arts Center, every Tuesday from 1 to 4 p.m., seniors are playing Mahjong and Canasta. All are welcome to attend if you're a senior. Wednesday, January 28th at 7 p.m., Show Us Your Shorts. Every fourth Wednesday, local film members submit and show their short film in an open mic type format. Wednesday, February 4th at 7 p.m., The Platform Literacy Open Mic, brought to you by Arts by the People. Friday, February 6th at 7:30, the Summit Film Society is showing Sentimental Value. Saturday, February 7th at 7:30, Work of Heart Productions presents Bringing Broadway Home. Wednesday, February 11th at 7 p.m. is Music Open Mic, which is every second Wednesday. Local musicians perform 2 songs each, and all are welcome to perform or attend. Friday through Sunday, February 13th to 15th, Cafe Theater is back with 8 short romantic comedies served with coffee and cake. Wednesday, February 18th at 7 p.m. is a comedy open mic, which is every third Wednesday. All are welcome to perform or attend. And Saturday, February 21st at 7 p.m., Come Original Showcase featuring local bands and vendors. Monday, February 23rd at 7 p.m., the Madison Environmental Commission and the Nature of Reading present How Birding Can Change the World. Tickets can be found at Madison Community Arts Center events homepage and the calendar rosenet.org/MCAC. And Mayor, I will also do the Finance Committee report tonight. From the tax collector, we want to remind everyone that the first quarter property taxes are due Monday, February 2nd. Property owners are reminded to mail their payment or use the online portal, which can be found on rosenet.org. From the Finance Department, while the Council has already had multiple financial presentations over the last few months, tonight we are starting the budget process in earnest. This evening we will hear from the Electric Utility Superintendent Vince Patty, Public Works Director Bob Duffy, and Ryan Furry from the Water Utility. We are blessed to have excellent, reliable, and safe electric and water services in Madison, as proven by the recent snowstorm where we have virtually no outages. Tonight, you will hear about what steps our utility staff are taking to maintain and improve our distribution systems. We will also hear about the financial performance of our water and electric utility. Our utilities billed over $24.8 million in 2025. Our single largest budget line is the entire budget document. In the entire budget document is the procurement of electricity, which we buy and then distribute to our residents and businesses. You will hear this evening that the utilities performed well last year, but there are significant issues ahead. The most important issue being the increasing cost for electricity and related expenses. Finally, I want to say that voting on the budget is one of the most important actions that the council takes. We work hard as a governing body to be transparent and to make information available to the residents. Tonight, we'll have our first of 4 scheduled budget presentations. On February 9th, we will discuss the municipal budget. On February 23rd, we'll meet with department heads. Then on March 23rd, we will have one final discussion on the budget, including strategic planning guidelines. Immediately after that discussion that evening, administration will ask council to introduce the official state budget document. As per state statute, we will take a 4-week break so that all residents have the opportunity to review that budget document. Then on April 27th, we're scheduled to have a hearing and vote to adopt the budget. This will be a challenging year due to increased costs in various departments. As a reminder, all budget information is available on the annual budget process page on Rosenet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public Safety, Mr. Landrigan.
Thank you, Mayor. From the Police Department, last week, Chief Mitchell was notified that he will be awarded the 2026 Law Enforcement Executive of the Year Award by the Italian American Police Society of New Jersey. This award is presented in recognition of exceptional leadership, professional excellence, community engagement, and a sustained commitment to the advancement of law enforcement. Chief Mitchell will be formally recognized at an awards banquet scheduled for late March. Last week, the Madison Police Department command staff met with Chris Monaco, the head of the internship program at Madison High School. The Madison Police meet with Mr. Monaco annually to discuss opportunities to host students interested in pursuing a career in law enforcement. The department is scheduled to host 1 to 2 high school interns later this spring. Residents are reminded that there have been recent attempts to steal motor vehicles in surrounding towns near Madison. These incidents involved unlocked vehicles. Please lock your vehicles, remove valuables from view, and report any suspicious activity to the Madison Police Department at 973-593-3000 or 911. From the Fire Department, the Fire Department experienced a very active weekend due to multiple fire incidents and the recent snowstorm. A structure fire on Maple Avenue on Saturday. Units responded to a reported structure fire on Maple Avenue. Upon arrival, crews observed heavy smoke coming from the rear of the garage. The fire was traced to a compost bin and several sections of fencing. Fortunately, the garage was constructed of masonry, which prevented the fire from spreading further. A second alarm in Morris Township. While crews were completing cleanup on Maple Avenue, a second reported fire occurred in Morris Township. A second alarm was transmitted, and Madison Engine 1 was dispatched as a rapid intervention team. Smoke investigation, Main Street and Station Road. As the Morris Township Fire Department fire was brought under control, a report of heavy smoke in the area of Main Street and Station was received, and after investigation, no hazards were found. And in regards to the storm response, the department maintained additional staffing throughout the snowstorm and responded to 15 emergency calls during the event. As a public safety reminder, we ask all residents to assist with clearing snow from around fire hydrants. Our crews are working to address this as much as possible, but community assistance is greatly appreciated. And finally, from the Joint Court. When comparing revenue, Madison's revenue had a decrease of approximately 19.4% in December of 25 compared to December of 24. This was a slight decrease compared to the previous month as well. In 2025, Madison had an overall revenue increase of $24,100, which is an increase of approximately 14.37% compared to 24. The Madison Joint Court had a decrease in revenue of approximately 12.3% in December 25 compared to last year. This is a slight decrease compared to the previous month as well. In 2025, the Madison Joint Court had an overall revenue increase of $20,359, which is an approximate 3.9% increase compared to 2024. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And Public Works and Engineering, Mr. Highland Plutus.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Hello, everybody from the community, whoever's in attendance. From the Department of Public Works, we know that they've had their work cut out for them since the winter started. They've had 13 events in between the first start of the snow and ice events and everything else in between. This weekend, they worked all day yesterday, clearing snow. This morning, very early, came back and started salting the roads and replowed the commuter parking lots because the snow continued, and we got a wintry mix overnight. Unlike most towns who are experiencing a shortage of rock salt, Bob Duffy and Chris McDougall, the department heads, did an excellent job keeping up our salt domes to be filled to capacity. So we're very fortunate to be in that position right now, and everybody should be able to move around pretty well tomorrow. In addition to the storm, like I told you, they handled quite a few snow and ice events in the month of January, which used a lot of our resources and manpower. The DPW and the borough asks that you remember to clear your sidewalks of snow and ice. If there is a fire hydrant near your house, please help the fire department by clearing the snow from the hydrant as well. The sewer department had responded multiple times to pump station alarms. The residents are again reminded not to flush feminine hygiene products, wipes, or even floss, even if they say that they are flushable, because they cause system failures around the community. Regarding the Rosedale skating rink, which is a big winter outdoor activity center for the community, the snow didn't help the ice. We're going to try as soon as possible to clear it. Right now, we have other priorities, but we continue to ask the community not to throw anything on the ice or leave anything on the ice when you're not there. If you do clear the snow or ice, please shovel it all the way to the sides of the pond. If you leave it in the middle, it will just freeze up and ruin the surface. Regarding any remaining Christmas trees in residents' homes, they can be put out to the curb for pickup by the DPW through January 31st, which is this Saturday. Well, I guess maybe they'll pick up on Friday. I'm not exactly sure. If you don't do that, residents can bring their Christmas trees to the recycling center on Saturday, February 7th, which is next Saturday. Let's see here. And from the Environmental Commission, just a quick message, Mayor. The MEC reports that Bridget Daly, a longtime member of the Madison Environmental Commission, is doing a Zoom breakfast talk with the Great Swamp Watershed Association on bird-friendly yards in the winter. The talk is at 8 a.m. on Wednesday, January 28th. That's this Wednesday. Those who are interested can register at www.greatswamp.org. One of Bridget's top tips is to leave dried seed heads standing so birds will have food during the snowfalls like the one that we are experiencing right now. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And Utilities, Ms. Honahan.
Thank you, Mayor. From the electric department, there were multiple standby calls with reported wires down the second week of January. There were no reported losses of power due to those downed wires. A transformer malfunction alarm came in at Kings Road substation. That was corrected and no power outage was reported. And the electric department continues to respond to calls, completing markouts, streetlight repairs, and daily substation inspections and readings. The water department dug and repaired 3 curb stop valves, repaired an 8-inch water main break on Cook Avenue. After the initial shutdown, the break was further isolated, so the commercial district was in service. And a 2-inch water meter replacement for the housing authority at Cook and Central took place. Also, chlorinators are scheduled to be tested and rebuilt in the coming week. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And with health, Ms. Cohen.
Super short and sweet. Our next meeting is Monday in person at Hartley Dodge. That's it.
Thank you. And now we move on to communications and petitions.
None received, Mayor.
All right, now we're on to our first of 2 invitations for public comment. This one is limited to our agenda discussion items or our resolutions. If you want to comment on other topics, we will have another comment period a little bit later in the meeting. So our agenda discussion tonight is budget hearing, as already mentioned, on public works, electric utility and water utility and utility fund balances. And these are the resolutions that you may comment on. These will also be part of the consent agenda at the end. Resolution 60 is a resolution setting salaries for full-time non-union personnel. Most union employees are covered by union contracts, and this takes care of the good performers in the borough. Resolution 61. Resolution authorizing adoption of the 2025 Morris County Hazard Mitigation Plan update. Resolution 62 is authorizing extension of contract for preventative maintenance of sewer pump station equipment with AC Schultz Incorporated. And it was awarded last year in Resolution 79 for 1 year, but had a option for renewal. Resolution 63 is authorizing contract with Boswell Engineering for design and grant program management for improvements to Spring Garden Drive, Ashland Road, and Tooth Place. And this is amount to not to exceed $37,000, and it's covered in the 2026 municipal budget. Resolution 64 is promoting Alfred Giro position of mechanical foreman in the mechanical service department, Public Works, and compensated in accordance to the collective bargaining agreement. Resolution 65 is appointing Craig Elms to the position of first-class lineman and by salary dictated by the collective bargaining agreement of $97,197. So those are the resolutions that you may comment on, or that one agenda item. Anyone wishing to comment, please use the raise hand function. You will be promoted. We ask you to keep your comments to 3 minutes, but you are given a 1-minute grace period. Anyone wishing to comment on those items, please raise your hand. Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting and we move on to the agenda discussions and our budget hearing or budget discussion. Jim.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start off here. I'm hoping that Michael will project the presentation that we have for this evening. Michael, if you could launch that. Tonight we have Bob Duffy and Vince Patty and Ryan Fury. And Michael, if you advance to the second slide, we're going to do a quick review of the budget process, which Council President Forte has already really done. We'll have a review with Bob Duffy of Public Works goals, objectives, and capital needs. Same with Ryan Fury with regard to the water utility, and same with Vince Patty with regard to the electric utility. We'll review our electric utility financial performance and the water utility financial performance. I'm not asking for any recommendations this evening. We're just, this is just an information. Michael, next slide, please. This is a slide that talks about transparency. Council President Forte mentioned it. We include it every year. For anybody that's watching, you can always go onto the Borough Rosenet and have access to all the presentations that are given. Next slide, please. Council President Forte mentioned the proposed hearing schedule. It's here so everyone can see it. This presentation itself, as I mentioned, will be available on our annual financial page, annual budget process page on Rosenet. Next slide, please. Our tax breakdown, and I think it's just important to note that, and I don't know, can you see my arrow on the screen there? You may or may not be able to. Michael's pointing it around. In any event, as you can see, over the last 11 years, borough portion of residents' taxes have gone up 15.6%, while county and school have both gone up 30%. That's important, and also the notion that the municipal budget is only 29% or 22.9% of the total tax bill. That should be 2025, not 2015, I believe. And as Councilman Wolkowitz said many times, if you're here to complain about your increase in your taxes, you're probably at the wrong meeting. But I just wanted to pay homage to Ben. With that, I will hand it off to Bob Duffy with Public Works.
Good evening. All right, we'll start off with accomplishments for 2025. We assisted the engineering department with completing the Cook Avenue project and the Dodge Field Playground projects. The Welby Water project is now virtually complete. We're just waiting for some inspections to be done. We were able to complete a new bargaining agreement with our union, so the DPW employees. So we have a agreement for this year and 3 more years. Lastly, there for accomplishments, the borough was recognized by the Morris County Municipal Utility Authorities for achieving a recycling rate above the state's mandate. The state's mandate is 50%, while the national average is 32%. The state municipal average is 38%. Madison is over 50%. So that's a good accomplishment for the borough in a whole, and hopefully we can just keep building on that. The next slide, please. For 2026, a lot of our goals have to do with continuing to reduce our carbon footprint. As you can see, the first one is there, to finish the replacement of the DPW garage windows. We have a big old garage, and we want to put more energy efficient windows in to keep some of the heat in the building. We also are looking to take delivery of battery-powered tools. They are on order. They're commercial-grade Ego system so that we can use battery-powered backpack blowers. We're also purchasing some trimmers, chainsaws that are all battery-powered, so that we'll also with chargers so we can change the batteries out in the field. Hopefully, we can get a good period of time out of those batteries. We're also looking to replace the DPW boiler, the heating system there. The old system is about 25 years old. It's not very energy efficient, and it's about the end of its life. So we're moving to a more energy efficient model. The next down is the emergency generator at North Street. That is the sewer pump station on North Street. Needs a new battery, or excuse me, an energy emergency generator. We're also doing that with a redundant system. So if we were to have a power failure and the emergency generator failed to start, we could actually bring in mobile portable generator and plug it in there and use that. So we'll have redundant on top of redundant. And lastly, there is we're finalizing placing a order for a jet vac truck, which is in the bottom picture there to the right of the slide. That has many uses. We can use for storm drain cleaning, valve box cleaning. It can be used for hydro excavating, and it can be used for trench rescue in the event the fire department. So we're going to do some training with all of our departments and with the fire department with that piece of equipment when we take delivery of it. Next slide, please. As you can see on there, for 2026, one of our items we're looking to get is a new salt dome. We want to be able to have more salt on stock. Hopefully that'll be an insurance policy that we won't need all of that salt, but at least we'll have it so we won't have to worry about it. And also on there is a the heater boiler at the DPW garage. Next slide. For 2026, there's a couple things on there. Replace another Mason dump. That's a smaller one of the dump trucks. We can use for plowing and we can use for multiple other things in the borough. And the miscellaneous equipment, the Steiner machine can be used to do sidewalks. It can be used to as a backup ice machine to be able to go over and get the snow off the ice on Rosedale. And we're also looking to get a ball field groomer with some of that money there too. So that's they're together, the Steiner machine and the miscellaneous equipment. Any questions? I know I went through that quick, but you have other
Very
presentations.
concise and a lot of things going on. Deb?
Just real quick, love to hear about the reducing the carbon footprint and already the electric tools. The senior van that's on the budget for this year, I know at one point it was being looked at to go electric, but there were some issues there. Do you know which way it's going yet, or?
We're still moving forward with that. There was some issues with the contract and the delivery date and tariffs and other things. So I know they're trying to put everything together, and I'm sure Jim Burnett he has been looking over this very intently to make sure it's done correctly. And so it is in the works, but it's not done yet.
But it will be electric. That was really what I was asking, is we're
Yes.
headed, okay. And
Correct.
thank you
I
for all
would
the
say,
work on that.
I would
'cause
say
I'm-
that's the hope. I would say
Well-
that's the hope. We're still trying to work through contractual issues and if we can, and purchasing issues. And there may be a solution. Ray and Kevin have been working on a creative solution that we can hopefully get to the finish line. But if for some reason we get stalled, no pun intended, we're going to need a new van no matter what at some point. So we'll come back to council with an update on that in the coming weeks.
Great, thank you.
And Tom?
Yep, thanks, Bob. Good presentation, nice and brief. There was a lot of other future budget items that I guess we'll continue to review as we get closer to the next years. The Steiner snow plow or snow removal equipment that you're mentioning, do we have one of those? Because I saw something small working around the borough this morning.
Yes, we have. That is a trackless that we use to do the sidewalks and also it does plowing and it also salts. This
Yeah.
would be a backup to that, but in addition, it would be able to be used for other things and not just that.
Right. So who would be using that when they would be using it simultaneously when we're clearing
Yeah.
out the borough?
Yes, we can do it put two people out. Right now, we only have one piece of equipment that can do that, so we only can put one person out to do the borough sidewalks.
Right. So the truck that you're requesting to add, there was a small dump truck. Is that what you commented on? What are we using now?
We are using a small dump truck, but the body, it's a 1990 something vintage and it's rusting apart and it's about at the end of its life.
Mm.
We try to get as much time as we can out of things.
Yep, no, I know that. And then obviously for something like that, there's not an electric option.
Not as of yet,
No. So
because
you
we
would,
need to be able to plow with it and they don't go 24 hours.
right. Yeah, understood. Okay, well, appreciate it, Bob. Thanks very much. Oh, and then the dome will probably something we have to talk about. That's
Yeah,
one of the biggest investments.
right.
So
And we understand that may not happen this year, but we want to get it in the queue to get it at some point in the near future.
yeah, first I'm hearing of it. So let's see how you've managed up to now and what the potential benefit, which you explained briefly to us.
Yep.
Thanks, Bob, for managing everything. You started off the year with a lot of work,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
There's been a lot of storms.
Know what you were hoping for. You're not getting a dry year. Thanks, sir.
Mayor, we'll
Any
jump
other-
right now to a water utility and a report from Ryan Fury.
Yep, just double checking. No other questions from the council for Bob? All right. Thanks, Bob.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Ryan Fury, and I'll be presenting on the water utility today. Next slide, please. So some accomplishments here. So as Bob was saying before, WellBe project rehabilitation is coming to a close. But one of the things I wanted to highlight was the liquid carbon dioxide that the borough participated in, which was basically like a revival of the aquifer. And in the first bullet point, you could see some of the effects of doing that. As you can see, the static water level, which basically is like an indication of how much water is replenishing into the aquifer, is going up, which is a good thing. So it's like counterintuitive. Like if you would think that would be kind of lower, but the more closer it is to the top, like where the grade is in the well casing, the better. So as you can see in Q4, I mean, obviously, there's going to be less usage, right, in the wintertime, and that'll probably help attribute with the higher static level, but you can see that it's trending in a good direction. So we have plenty of water in in that aquifer, especially for well B. And well B is our primary well that we run pretty much all the time. So that's a very good thing to see. Another thing that the borough participated in with other municipalities was the DuPont and 3M lawsuit for PFAS. To date, we've already received about $1.1 million from that lawsuit in settlement money. And we should be receiving the rest of it by 2033, in grand total of about a little north of $1.6 million. So that's going to be extremely helpful for the foreseeable future because the PFAS installation for treatment is going to be quite expensive. So any money that we can get outside of taxpayer money is definitely helpful. And the final bullet point is just calculated water loss for the system. So the statewide average is about 15.9%. Ours is coming in for last year at 14.8%, which is good. We're right below, or below the average, and it's a good indication of how well the system's working. So, like a lot of the water that we're pumping into the system is not being lost, so that's a good thing, and it's getting billed for. So, next slide, please. Okay, so by now I'm sure everyone knows all about PFAS. It's been in firefighting foams. It's pretty much used in anything you can think of at this point. It's a big manufacturing product. The thing that I wanted to highlight here is that the EPA is looking to finalize their 4 part per trillion standard for PFOA and PFOS. They backed off on the hazard index of the other compounds that you could see in the third bullet point. But what I wanted to emphasize here is that if they do go through with the 4 part per trillion standard, the borough should be ready to start implementing treatment for all of our PFAS. I mean, for all of our water treatment plants. So the proposed treatment installation would be by April 2031, but being proactive about it now, utilizing that settlement money, getting design builds, contacting engineering firms, which we are doing, it gets us ahead of the curve because we're going to have to be competing with every municipality in the state. So this is something that will not go away, and we'll get more direction from the state and the federal government this year of which direction they are going to go. But what I want to do is try to position us in a way that we actually have options. So if they don't go through with the 4 part per trillion standard, no problem. I mean, that's better for us because then it's less money that we'd have to spend. But if we do, at least we're ready and we have the design builds and the bid specifications ready to go. So next slide, please. The water towers. The top picture is Madison Tank, and the bottom one is Midwood Tank. We have 2 water towers in our system, 500,000 gallon and 750,000 gallons. They're both constructed in 1952. As per the Water Quality Accountability Act, we had to get these tanks inspected every 3 to 5 years. We did an inspection last year, actually. Happy to report that there's no critical needs or failures of the tanks, so that's really good. But they did have some recommended maintenance items and cleanings and disinfections that we could do to the tanks to ensure that we have continued longevity for these things and we can maintain them and obviously produce the best water quality that we want for the borough. So next slide, please. So our goals for 2026 for the water utility, like I said, we're looking to do PFAS pilot plant studies and like a master plan design for the treatment plants if the 4 part per trillion standard does come through. We're looking to refurbish our interconnection points with our neighboring utilities at no cost to the borough, which we've already started engaging with New Jersey American and Southeast Morris. So that's a good thing. They obviously want to. It's to their benefit to have the interconnections working because, it's easier for them to give us water, and if we needed it, we can buy them. So that's something that's good for us. And then we're just going to do continued preventative maintenance, normal things like valve turning, aquifer cleaning if we can, with like the liquid carbon dioxide treatment, and some main replacements, when possible. So, next slide, please. And then this is just an overview of the projected 5-year capital plan. As you can see, the water tank repairs a big capital item. But again, like the thing, if you could see underneath the treatment plant upgrades, PFAS, it's that'll probably take precedent over the water tank repair maintenance line items because that's going to be a lot of money up front. So, when we've kind of figure out how the government's going to be going forward with the new regulations, we'll be able to get a better idea and an understanding of where to actually place the money and what to actually invest in for the near future. But for now, this is like what we can come up with as to make sure that the water utility is attended to and taken care of. And I think this is the best strategy for us, because it gives us options and it keeps us flexible and ready to kind of move in whatever direction we need to. So, and next slide. Oh, and yeah, that's pretty much it. If there's any questions, obviously, feel free to ask, but sorry if it was kind of short.
Yep, very good, Ryan. Covered things very well. We'll go with Melissa, Deb, and then Bob.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I'm just curious, you went over that we have about a little around 14% water loss. What sorts of things account for that, just in general?
So normally, it would be like leaking, right? Like water leaks from like mains. Aging infrastructure, that's just kind of common. That's just kind of what happens. Meters also come in, kind of can get into like skew the numbers as well. But we actually took care of that already with our meter replacement. So
Yeah.
those are all, yeah, that's a really good thing. The not problem, but like it's hard to account for water for like say for example like you're fighting fires, right? So like a firefighter is not going to put a meter on and then like start fighting the fire. I would want them to just focus on the fire and make sure that that gets um, accounted for rather than like metering the water. So like, we kind of put projected numbers in there. But like I don't want like when I account for the like fire flow or hydrant testing or just flushing of mains, I kind of just put like a base number in there that's like a DEP standard. So it's normally going to be lower than what actually is used. So that's what kind of makes that percentage go a little bit higher. But 14.8% is like that's really good. And for the few years that I have been here, like we've been averaging around 14, 15 around there. So
Okay.
it's pretty consistent. So that tells me that the system is um, pretty much responding to like what it's putting into and what it's producing to people and then what we're billing. So sorry to kind of go on and on, but I hope that
No, that's super helpful. Thank you very much for the education.
yeah.
A quick question before we go to Deb. Do you know what it was, the ratio was before the meter replacement? Did we see it?
Yeah, like the old records, forgive me for pretty much if I get this wrong, but I think they were around like 18, 19%. Again, like that it could have been because of the meters, right? Because if the meters are old, like they're not going to read correctly, so they're not going to pick up all that usage. So yeah, I would argue that the meters might have skewed it a little bit higher. So, but that's kind of where you guys were at in the past. But that's not an indication of how the water department was like ran or anything like that. It's just numbers, kind of. So,
Yeah. Okay, Deb and then Bob.
So, two quick questions, if there is such a thing. With the PFAS, Michael, can you go back to the budget slide? Yeah, that one. The treatment plant upgrades, which obviously we have to do, and I'm glad to see that at least the majority of the funds will be coming from legal settlements, if not all of them, but I found it a little concerning, and I know it's a balance of, you know, monies that water tank repair maintenance is going to potentially lose money. Now, I don't, you know, is that something that do we usually spend the $500,000 for maintenance per year? I
Uh,
don't need an exact number. And if you don't have answers, you know, because it's kind of out of the blue, I know, but I'm just trying to figure out, or were you talking about just the work in general needing to happen to the treatment plant versus the water tanks?
no, that's a good question. So the way I parceled it out, right? Because the water tank repairs are gonna be a large capital expense, mostly because there's like a lot of disciplines that go into it.
Mm.
And so you're gonna have to be paying. It's something that's out of the scope of like the water department, right? Like they cannot. And no offense to anybody there, or even myself, like I couldn't even do it. Like I would need people, like other contractors, to actually do that work. So this was just kind of like starting to allocate the funds so that way we can kind of do it all in one shot over time. So it, I don't want to say it's like you're gonna take away from the water repair or like the money from the water tank maintenance. It's just that the treatment plant upgrades are gonna, in my opinion, would be more pressing and more of a priority than the water tank repair. So like if we could swap them numbers around or move
Yeah,
stuff.
no, that's fine. And I know it's all unknowns at this
Yeah,
point, so I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
yeah.
But the one question, and again, I'm putting you on the spot, so if you need to get back to all of us, is there a way that we could share services, these new up plant upgrades that we're going to be competing with Chatham and Florham Park and Summit and Morristown and everybody else for the same contractors for the same things at the exact same time? Again, lack of knowledge, but is this something we could, hey, go to Chatham and be like, hey, let's do this together and get them to do both of us at the same time, maybe get a little reduction in price as well as, you know, get on the schedule higher because they can bang out a couple of people.
I mean, I love the idea. I just don't know the like the legal end of it, how that kind of comes into play. I don't I mean if we can partner up with other towns to make it like a volume based thing where, contractors are, they'll get volume out of it and obviously beneficial to them to stay in Chatham and Madison. They're right next to each other, right? So it's like um yeah, I'm all for that. I don't know. I've never really been a part of something like that before. So, but I'm open to it, or I could at least explore it.
All right. Like I said, I wasn't expecting a complete answer, but I was just curious if it was something to possibly think of.
Sure. Yeah.
Go to Bob and then Tom.
Okay, this may be a bit of a naive question, so just bear with me. When I saw that the water tanks were built in 1952, I believe you said,
Yeah.
that was probably to support a population somewhat less than what Madison is right now. With the proposed developments coming online, will these water tanks, as they stand right now, be able to support that increased population, and will maintenance be enough? Or will this is going to be really out of the ballpark question, but will we need bigger tanks? I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
No, that's a great question. And yeah, I mean, so as of right now, we did a utility study with Dewberry Engineering, and they cleared us for the water side. We have plenty of capacity right now, especially with our allocation permit. So we use about like 2.5 million gallons a day in like the peak season. So like I would categorize that from like June to maybe September-ish. So basically the summer. And we're allocated for about 4.9 million. So we have technically, quote unquote, we have the capacity to handle, more build out. But if we start building um more, I guess we'll have to continue to, do that exercise of um looking at the utilities and making sure that we can handle it. I mean, one of the things too with the water tank maintenance, one of the ideas that we could float out there is, potentially upsizing one of them, right? So Madison tank, for example, like you could take it down and, maybe make it a 1.2 million gallon tank. You know what I mean? So rather than refurbishing it and kind of, I don't want to say band-aid it, but just keep kind of using what you have. They have fiberglass tanks now, right? So you can like knock that down, put up a new one, put a bigger one, to kind of ease or address what you asked there. So it's an idea. And I mean, not saying that we do that. I know that it's gonna everything is gonna cost money. But we can definitely look into that. So
No, you answered the question. Thank you. That
sorry.
Tom and then John.
Good, Ryan, thank you so much. You're giving us more information than we've gotten in a long time on the water utility since, this is one of your primary skill sets. We're pretty lucky to have you working for the borough. Um, are we at a PFAS water level right now that's over zero point 0.4 million trillion parts per trillion million parts? You really
So
know what that equation means. You know that,
right. So the current regulation is 13 and 14 parts per trillion, respectively.
right?
Um, we are fine with those.
Okay.
If it goes down to 4, then
Nobody's fine.
nobody's fine. Yeah.
No, even
Yeah.
though we don't really have contaminants going to our down to our aquifer. Nothing like that. Nothing that's
No, no. I mean, PFAS is like, it was part of what's called the UCMR. It's like it was an unregulated contaminant, but now it's an emerging contaminant, and it's
right.
like, kind of jumping up the priority list for the environmental regulators. So yeah, like to answer your question, the 4 part per trillion, it's not just going to be a Madison problem. Let's just say
All
that.
right.
It's going to be
Sure.
a lot of people problem.
Right.
So
No, it's everywhere in my industry too. And the packaging and disposable products that I sell, everything now has to be
yeah,
PFAS free. So
yeah, exactly. They use it everywhere. So
all the
it's like,
manufacturing's changed everywhere, which is for the better of all of our health. And then is the if the community demand even grows even more, which is kind of, you know, following up from what Bob asked. We have enough water. Do we know? Do you know if we have 17,000 residents now, we go to 18,000 residents now? No problem.
yeah, that won't be a problem. But again, like
Mm,
depending on what kind of build outs are happening in town, or what's being built, or what's coming down, we like that's the whole point of getting that utility study, because now we have basically a computer simulation that we can play around with, where we can plug and chug numbers, and then I could literally kind of produce scenarios for everybody. So like, say you're going to build 1,000 unit um, development somewhere, and now I can input all that data into that hydraulic model, and then it'll spit out like numbers for me and say like, okay, like you'll meet capacity here, but you might not have enough service here. So it's like it's an overall evaluation of the system, that because there's a lot of valving and piping and the treatment tanks as well. So we have to keep all that into account, and that's what that whole utility study basically did for us. So
okay. And the line item on your budget, which you just generalized the number for water tank repair maintenance, $500,000 a year. I don't recall seeing us at that cost level in the past.
Mhm.
That's $250,000 over the next 5 years. So you can elaborate in the future a little more detail, but it's good to have that, that you're on that track to make sure, like you said, it's so important to have those tanks and that all of our water supply up.
Right. Yep.
Mhm.
Totally agreed.
But the big numbers there. That's your biggest
Yeah.
option.
Yeah. And like I said, like, we can work with those numbers, but I just wanted to just make sure that we had um funding available, because like like I said, they're big capital items. So it's gonna
Yeah, you
require,
definitely got Jim Burnett's attention.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Ryan.
No problem.
When is the next water quality test? We have one every year, don't we?
Well, so we do testing all year round.
So we report to the community, there's one report that goes out to the community.
Yeah, the consumer confidence report. Yeah, so that's due July 1st, but we usually get that I'm actually working. That's funny that you brought that up. Actually, I'm working on that right now. So but it's due July 1st, but we usually get that out to you guys a little quicker than that. So I would anticipate, I think last year we got it out by like May maybe. I mean,
Sure,
Michael might
great.
correct me, um but yeah, that's the target deadline.
Okay, hopefully it's as good as usual.
Yes, sir. It will be.
Thanks, Ryan. Okay.
And John.
Thanks, Ryan. This is very thorough. Just curious, what's the lifespan for those water tanks? Like they're 74 years old right now. How long do you go with them before you really start thinking about a replacement?
Um, that's a great question. The reason why we go through these inspections, right, is to kind of evaluate those kind of questions, So, what we would like to do is do like a cost analysis of, like I was saying before, possibly knocking, like if we do knock down one of the tanks and if we do if it is time for that point where like the cost of just refurbishing it kind of outweighs knocking it down, building a new one, and then possibly upsizing it so that way we're kind of set for you know far out into the future. That's something that we've actually been talking about and looking into. So I don't really necessarily have an answer for you. Maybe 75 years is, it's quite a bit of it's quite a bit
It
of time with it, So
it is, and that's what has me thinking. And I'm wondering, should we do the analysis and sort of understand what the capital allocation would be to, rebuild or acquire new tanks, whatever you call it? Because while I'm certainly supportive of doing what we need to do for the current tanks, I would really like to understand the analysis around how much are we going to continue throwing into them versus what are we going to have to spend at some point. When do we believe that point is, and
Mhm.
then we make a determination to say, all right, let's start shifting to a different plan. It's sort of like an old car, right? I mean, you get to a point where you just don't want to keep throwing money into it. Sometimes you say it's time to buy a new one. And I think maybe we should run that analysis and get that answer so that we can, if it's midterm capital planning or long-term capital planning, that's fine. But I still think we should probably understand where we're at and aim for that.
yeah, I totally agree. Because like I said, like, with these old tanks, they, a lot of them used lead paint, for example, right? So, if you had to continuously sandblast and, repaint it and sandblast and repaint it or, do a lot of interior work, like, you're kind of just throwing money away. And like that was a perfect metaphor, the car. Like that's kind of what I would equate it to. It's like you're kind of band-aiding something that maybe we should maybe look at the just replacing new and kind of see where that goes. So, and the thing with the new fiberglass tanks is like, you eliminate all of that, paint like repainting and all that. It's basically ready to go and it's done. So like a lot of it will just be preventative maintenance from that point forward. So like cleanings, disinfection, like rovers, divers. So it's going to be a significant reduction. Like you won't see these $500,000 um, line items anymore. Probably be a lot less. So
Thank you. I think it's definitely something we should look at just to understand where we're at and where we need to go.
yes, sir. I agree.
And I would assume the study would also have to consider running on one tank for an extended time and what the impact is.
Mhm.
I'm another community I'm involved with. I know they built built a new tank and then decommissioned the old tank because they started a whole new location. But we may not have that flexibility.
Right. Yep. And that's where the model comes into. Like it'll help us, maybe understand that or, give us insight of where we can maybe place a tanker truck that can basically work as a pressure tank for the system. So that's something to think about for sure.
All right, thank you. A lot of information.
No problem.
All right, we'll now bring up Vince Patty. Superintendent Electric Department. Welcome, Vince.
Oh, good evening. All right, we're going to start out with the 2025 accomplishments. We installed new riser pole transformers at Kings Road School, the high school and junior school. Installed new riser poles to power 28 Walnut Street. Installed new riser pole to power the Forum on Community Place. Installed new riser pole to power Madison Mall Apartments. Installed new riser pole to power 120 Madison Ave. We installed 2 level 3 EV fast chargers in the parking lot at the police and fire building. Interconnection for the MRC solar carport. Installed new feeder protection relays at Kings Road substation. Enabled under frequency load shedding at the substations. Replaced post lights at the train station parking lot to LED heads. Implemented an asset management software for all of our inventory. Replace old poles and transformers as needed, and training. Next slide, please. 2026 goals and objectives. Upgrade relays on the 34 side at James Park Substation. Upgrade pilot wire relay at James Park, Kings Road Substation. Install SCADA system. Update circuit maps infrastructure upgrades. GIS implementation. Replace annunciator at the substations. Install 12 new capacitor banks. And then continue replacing old poles, upgrading transformers, continuing upgrading tie points. Next slide, please. And some of our ongoing activities: substation testing, maintenance, test twice a year, meeting with contractors, discussing upcoming construction projects throughout the town, cable installation removal, addressing one of the numerous streets that have very old, undersized, deteriorating secondary cables, install new cables, energize and transfers all services to new poles, remove old cables and hardware. New service installations, approximately 95 anticipated. Pole transfer installations, approximately 25. Anchor down guide installations, 15 anticipated. Transformer replacements, approximately 20. Markouts, approximately 1,500. We completed 15,037 in 2025. Street light, traffic light repairs, approximately 80 anticipated. Line clearance, the electric department will be doing the tree clearance this year. Emergency work that requires immediate attention, down wires, storm damage, car pole accidents, equipment failure, no power calls, flickering lights, etc. during after hours. Biannual substation maintenance of batteries, filter replacement, leaf removal, repairs, and general housekeeping. Annual inventory of materials to determine the replenishment requirements. Installation of the Borough Christmas tree, lights, placements on the wreaths and lampposts. Special assignments with Bottle Hill Day and with the request of the other departments. Testing of rubber goods, safety equipment, minimum twice a year. Next slide, please. And for 2026, we're going to be looking to replace our bigger derrick truck. It's number 131. That's 1990. Looking at 35-year-old truck. Looking to replace the superintendent vehicle, which is 2013. Upgrading primary distribution. We're looking at Old Greenhouse Lane, traffic signal cameras, Dodge Field light maintenance. Another big one is the reverse fund for substation repair, and then various material transformers for $300,000. Next slide. I think that's it. Yep.
All right, covered quite a bit there. A lot going on as always. Thank you for maintaining a great grid. Any questions or comments for Vit? Melissa?
Just a question about the superintendent's truck. Is there a budget line? I didn't see number next to it. I just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure.
well, it didn't get removed, so it's listed twice there. So on the
Oh,
bottom,
oh, okay.
yeah, so it was supposed to get removed. So, and I'm sorry, that's going to be for 27. So, yep. So
Okay,
not
great.
this year. Sorry.
Thanks.
Anything else? All right, well done.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Vince.
Mayor,
Electric-
we'll jump into talk about the electric utility financial report and then the water utility financial report. There's a really cool old picture of the power station. We actually generated electricity here in the borough of Madison years ago. The end of Station Road is where we had our power station. So had to throw a little bit of history in there, Mayor. Next slide. More history. You all know I found this annual report in my dad's stuff when I was going through and cleaning up. And in 1944, it talked about all sorts of different things. Very interesting report I have here in my office if anybody wants to look at it. And it talks about there being a utility transfer from the electric utility to reduce property taxes way back in 1944. So that's an interesting little tidbit. The big thing that's going on, next slide, Mayor, is the proliferation of data centers and the significant impact that it has has on the electric rates. PJM, the Pennsylvania, Jersey, Maryland grid is the regional transmission operator. They're the one that coordinates the electricity, and in 13 states are represented in there. And they're doing load calculations and load estimates. And there's so many data centers that are looking to open, and it's becoming a real challenge. And the PJM's trying to deal with it, but also all of the individual states and the federal government. Next slide. In an interesting bipartisan action, all 13 state PJM state governors and the federal government, Trump administration, signed up together to call on emergency market reforms with PJM. So the board of directors of PJM is aware of this. They have their own proposals. It is going to be a continuing and interesting process, but is one that has a significant impact on electric rates. Years ago, we were buying a megawatt of energy for $25 a megawatt. Now it's $50 a megawatt. That is for the moving electrons. That doesn't have anything to do with the capacity charges or transmission charges that we know are going up. If we go to the next slide, Michael, you'll actually see on E6, that's the block contracts. That's as Mr. Booker taught me, the moving electrons. I see John smiling. Mr. Booker was our physics teacher in high school, and electricity is moving electrons. Costs associated with an electric utility are the actual electricity, the capacity, and the transmission. As you can see from E6 and E7, those costs have increased significantly from 2024 to 2026 to our estimated budget. Transmission has as well. And so ultimately, E15, our total expenses have gone up, and our total fund balance that's being generated is going down. We are going to need to advance a capital bond ordinance for funding for the Drew University purchase of the forest. And that, while we won't have a long-term bond, we'll have short-term bond anticipation notes. We will need to get our rating reviewed by the rating agencies, S&P and Standard & Poor's, and they don't really like to see a drop in fund balance. However, we have the strategic planning guidelines, which are tremendous arrow in our quiver to be able to go back to them and say, look, we have we monitor this every year. And in any event, E16 is something we need to look at. Because we are seeing a reduction in the generation of fund balance, we are going to need to reduce E18, which is the amount that's utilized in the municipal budget or transferred over. This gives us debt relief and helps pay for capital in our municipal budget. We'll be talking about that more in 2 weeks when we present the municipal budget. You'll see the impact of that. but it is just something that administration feels we need to do. Go to the next slide. This shows our MRC solar carport energy. It is generating energy nicely. Typically, solar generates about 50% in December, January of what it does in the summer. So we shouldn't be alarmed to see that we're not generating as much as we thought we would, or if we annualize this over a 12-month period. But we're happy that it is working well, and it's going to generate a lot of energy during the days when we have peak energy issues and when our capacity prices are set. So it will actually be a great hedge for us to kind of keep our capacity prices down a little bit. We go to the next slide, you'll see what this is our new electric meters. I've shown this slide in the past. This is what it looks like when someone plugs in their electric vehicle. Tom's Tesla, my Tesla, Peter Fried's, whoever has an electric vehicle. When they plug in, it just spikes the electricity. So we have been encouraging, and most of the EV owners have been shifting to time of use rates, which means that they're going to be plugging in and their charging is going to happen overnight. So it has less of an impact and is when we can buy energy cheaper. It's just interesting to see that. More interesting is the next slide, which shows a particular home. Michael, if you could advance the slide, where it shows solar generation and then electric consumption and an EV charger. So it shows the blue is when they're net generating, their refrigerator's running, they're using electricity in their house, but their solar panels are generating more electricity than they're consuming. Then the little lower areas are when they're consuming electricity, maybe at night, and then the big spikes are when they plugged in their EV. So it's just very interesting to see. Think of the blue as really should almost go upside down. It should go down below the line and show generation versus consumption. But that's an interesting thing. If we advance to the next slide, please, Michael. There we are, flushing hydrants. Melissa, that's some of that unmetered water that we talked about. And you can see our old water tanks. I should look that up. I'm not going to do it right now, but we'll find out. That's the Midwood when we had the stovepipes that were installed originally when we first became a municipality, thanks to Mayor Albright. That was one of the first things that the borough did, was establish a water utility and have water distribution where we were able to have fire hydrants in town. If we go to the next slide, we'll go to the water utility performance. And as Ryan said, PFAs are really going to impact things. Line W6 shows the capital improvement portion of the budget. Think of the top section as the budget, the income and expenses, and think of the bottom as almost the performance of the utility. So the top section is showing revenues and expenses. And you can see capital improvement, we have pegged at $600,000. Might need to make that a little more. Definitely going to need to deal with the PFAs down the road and this potential new water tank, or at least the conversation of the new water tank. We're definitely going to need to increase capital improvement down the road. That's something we need to keep an eye on. Fund balance, which is W13. This is kind of the water utility performance. It was doing very poorly in 2021, 2022, but we were able to stabilize the utility and stabilize the financial position of the utility. And now it's in a strong position where we're able to increase the use of capital and strengthen the position of the utility in general. So W13, which is fund balance at the end of the year, that the rating agencies would love to see that. Oh, well done. Your fund balance is stabilized in the water utility. So we're anticipating, as I said, $600,000 in capital improvement expenses. Beyond that, we're just going to continue to operate the water utility. I think we do need to study the purchase of a full tank versus the repair. Does the average water tank last 75 to 100 years or not? We need to look into all of that. And the PFAs are a big unknown. Ryan talked about $1.6 million coming in. It's going to be multiples of that we need to treat the PFAs. Stuff that we need to deal with in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But we're trying to position ourselves to be able to handle that. Any questions?
Deb?
Michael, can you go back to the electric slide that looks like this? That one. Thank you. So 2 questions. The capacity charges, which significantly rose in addition to the block contracts, are, and I don't remember, are the capacity charges, are those what AI is causing the significant increase? So we're going to see that continue to rise as more and more of these data centers happen, or is that the contracts for the electricity?
It's predominantly the block contracts, but PJM changed rules on how they value different generation. It used to be solar and others had a higher value, and therefore the solar that was in the system got paid more. They derated it, they reduced it, and it's a supply and demand situation. They basically reduced the value that solar was putting into the system, and other generation was putting into the system. And the net result was they changed from a situation where there was more supply than demand to now there is less supply than demand. And we all know from economics, and Mr. Chmurka, I'll call out another high school teacher, John shaking his head, supply and demand, when it inverts like that, prices go up. And so we're seeing a significant increase in capacity. We had a crazy low capacity prices in 2024. Now we're paying the piper. It's always good to reiterate this. Our capacity prices are set based on the 5 hours that are non-coincident over the summer where we have the highest consumption in total in the distribution system. So they will say, hey, what did Madison consume on June 29th, July 15th, July 17th, July 19th, and August 1st and August 2nd. They'll look at those 5 hours, an hour on each of those days, and say, well, this is your capacity price for the year. So time of use rates and other strategies that we're looking to employ will hopefully reduce consumption between 3 to 7 p.m. And that's when we have the highest. That's when capacity prices are set, because that's when the utility peaks. I always thought, oh, the sunniest time of the day, noontime, that's when. No, it's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, because the sun's been baking, the buildings are hotter, kids are coming home. So energy is still being used at the commercial level, but also being used at the residential level. That's when we tend to peak. And that, as Councilman Harlan Putis can tell you, is when his solar panels on his warehouse are really generating, and when our solar panels will be really generating on over at the MRC.
All right, and then my other question, and I am a huge fan of time of use. We've been doing it almost the whole year. I don't remember when it started, but I've also watched our electricity bills significantly decrease. So what impact does that have on I mean, ours were never huge to begin with, and people laugh when I say what they are. And I say they were reduced, but as people reduce them because they do participate in time of use, or just because they're changing their light bulbs or whatever, what kind of impact is that having on what we're bringing in? That is obviously also going to cause issues with the total fund balance, because if we don't have as much coming in and we have more going out, we all know how that works.
Correct. Our time of use is only currently happening with residential customers, which are our smaller customers. I think it's a really good tool to explain and teach to residents that there is a difference in cost. Everybody's bill shows peak, off peak, and regular consumption, which I think is important. And I think our residents are becoming more and more knowledgeable of it. We need to, and we're working with, but it's going to take some time, more than a year, maybe 2 years, to get a time of use rate structure and the metering working on the commercial side. what was it, Mayor? 50 of our top customers in the borough consumed 40% of our electricity. So if we can get uh, Gary's Wine and Marketplace and Stop and Shop and Drew University and some of these other big consumers on the office parks on time of use, their building managers are going to find ways to cut electricity from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And so that's our next goal on our side. But I think it's really an important educational tool, and I think our residents are getting more educated on it, and therefore it is going to help, but it is not going to move the needle significantly as much as if we can get the commercial customers on time of use.
And right now it's a pilot, but are we looking to make it so that everybody's on time of use residential? I'm just talking residential. I won't get into commercial because I know that's a whole other beast.
I think that's council's decision. It's a pilot program that keeps going, and we're collecting good data on it. Anybody that has solar jumped right on it because they are producing electricity during the peak times, and are getting even a little bit better deal than they were getting before. EV people are jumped all over it because when you purchase an EV, the first thing they ask you is, "Hey, check with your town to see if you have time of use rates, and if so, program your car to charge." And you can program your car to just start. You plug it in at 6 o'clock, but it won't start charging until 10 p.m. So those more sophisticated customers are more in tune with solar and with EV, have signed up for us, but it's going to be a council's decision on whether to make that mandated. I would much prefer to focus on the commercial side and make the commercial mandated first.
Okay.
I think eventually we'll drag the residential there. I know if Councilman Range was here, he would be advocating for the residential to be all time of use now. But I think we should focus going the other way and not upset a number of residents by just changing things. We have some residents who don't know to look at their electric bills at all. We have some to say, "My bill's up by $4. What happened?" So I think it's best for us to put our energies in the commercial side.
All right. More to discuss on that, but I'll let it go for now.
John and then Tom.
Thank you. Jim, just a quick clarifying question. You brought up this issue of two neighbors both plugging in their EVs at the same time and having an issue with the power. It was my understanding that we are doing our level best to remedy that by upgrading our transformers. And as you know, as they age out, or even I think we've been proactive at times where we know there's an issue on a particular street or what have you. Can you just confirm, like that's still what we're doing, right? And
yes, the easiest thing to do is to upgrade transformers when they need to be exchanged or when we're having problems. Someone installs an ice skating rink in their backyard, which has happened in the borough of Madison, and the transformer keeps popping. What's going on? We go to the backyard. Oh my gosh, what's going on with this load? A transformer, if you look at it, you'll see 2, 3, 4, 5 homes are tied to it. So if there's a problem, it's easy for us to look at the metering and to understand what that consumer is consuming and say, oh, you know what, the transformer is failing. It's not an issue with the consumption, or no, it is. But typically, if it's a 25 kV transformer, Vince will replace it with a 37.5. It's a 37.5, Vince will replace it with a 50. That way, if people voluntarily choose to electrify their homes, we still have the rebate program for that. I have an air-cooled heat pump hot water heater, which is really cool, but it draws electricity. If more people do that, that transformer's already been upgraded. So yes, we are working on that. We have not had any other than that one unique situation where the transformer kept popping because of a huge load. But the more information we have, the better we are to proactively respond.
And I think it's great that we're doing that. And I know in Vince's presentation, he had $300,000 or so for transformers. And I think that's certainly money well spent, because I know when we're switching them out, we're increasing the capacity there, which we know we need. So thanks for that, Jim.
Yes, sir.
And Tom.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Jim. Jim, you're doing a great job managing this electric utility. So when will you have your 2025 actual results that whole column is all estimates, right?
Yeah, it's always an estimate. We're obviously closing the books now. Our
Mhm.
annual financial statements will come out, unaudited annual financial statements will come out in April, and then the audit will come out in July. The audit will be the final numbers.
Right.
So, we end up just adjusting. Sometimes, Tom, to be honest with you, it's $10,000 to $20,000 adjustments here or there. We're usually pretty good at our estimates being pretty close at this time.
Okay. So your estimate, which is great, you're estimating an extra $2 million because we raised rates 10% for this year, right? So you're going to get another $2 million. And your costs, if your 2025 is close, like you said, you're going to be at $9 million. And then in 2026, you're going to be at $10 million. So you're going to go up $1 million in cost, but raise revenues too, which is great. You have more surplus.
Well, no, I want to point, Tom, take a look at E15. E15
E15
shows
total
expenses
expenses,
of
20.
2025 of 18 million
Yeah.
and
So you're up
costs
to,
of 20 million. So it's going up by 20 point, it's going up
okay,
more than the revenue.
just
Good
barely.
cat. I
But it's all
appreciate it.
estimated. You don't know what your 2026 is going to be. It could be 23.9. It could 24, which is almost $24 million.
It tends to be pretty spot on because, as you know, our
Good.
block contracts are locked in, our
Yep.
capacity and transmission costs are locked in, our admin and operating, we know what um, the union out the costs that we need for paying the staff and stuff like that. So our
Right.
our total expenses typically don't change that much.
No, I didn't think they
Yep.
would. I'm talking about the revenues might go up
Oh, the revenues. I'm
or
sorry. Yeah,
down.
the revenues. You're right. We really
More of these,
that can fluctuate.
it can fluctuate a lot. So the fund balance that you're going to carry of eight point and now the new state of emergency or whatever the governor called it, where she puts a freeze on rates, is also at the wholesale level. So whatever you're buying electricity at now should stay. They can't have any dramatic increases if you need to buy more. Is that right? Or is it only for us to charge? Is it
It
only
was a directive to the BPU, so
Yeah, it's they're working on, and as we
yeah,
know, Governor Shapiro had worked with PJM to cap some of the auctions on capacity, but the block contracts that we're buying, it's a little bit of a different animal, and
yeah,
they're not controlled by that legislation. I do want to refer to that and look into that and get back to you to confirm that, Tom. But the concern and what all the governors and the federal government are trying to do is to address the block contracts, as you said, and to try to resolve that. One of the things they're looking to do, which I think makes a ton of sense, is to say if you're going to open up an AI center, you need to provide your own generation.
yep.
And
And they can and they'll do it.
that would completely change the landscape, and we would
Sure.
be in a much better position if that were the case. And I know that there are a number of governors that have been advocating for that. So and also I don't think the New York Times is listening in, and I don't want to get officially quoted on this, but I think New Jersey and Pennsylvania should consider talking to PJM about leaving PJM because all
Yep.
these data centers are being built in Virginia. So we're feeling the effects that Virginia is doing all that development. And there's also some uh, items we need to look at locally. We don't really want to encourage a data center to come here into Madison. So there may be some land use and some rate structure action that the planning board can take on the land use side and we can take on the rate structure side to not have an office park converted to a data center. I'd rather have the office park converted to an office park or
We'll stay
assisted
at Office
living or
Park,
something else.
right? Or go residential, but that we're already doing that. So we know we're going to get some revenue back that we've lost just by having two vacant properties. So hopefully that'll be a 2027 benefit to us. So the last thing, and I want to let you go because it's getting late. The free balance that we have now is the second highest that you've had in the last 5 or 6 years. Um, is that what you want to average moving forward, even though you never averaged that much? Not even close. It's more than double what your peak, which was in 2023, and now it's double.
Yeah. So if you think about it, if you add those two numbers together, it's the beginning balance. So if you take E17 is basically E17 minus E18 equals E19.
Right.
Geez, that sounds terrible. Let's
Yeah.
talk
Oh my
about specific numbers. 14.6 minus 6.3 equals
Yeah.
8.3.
Yeah.
In years past, we were taking 3/4 of the fund balance. And that was a rate, was a no-no for S&P. So, and it was a no-no for us. This gives us protection in case something really bad happens in the future, that we have a glide path or a cushion to be able to kind of softly land and not have to take really aggressive action. Like I said, right now our block contracts have more than doubled in price. But from what we used to pay to what we're paying now. So
Right. You had record lows.
why is it not going up double from 2024? And I think you all know the answer, but we should highlight it, that we were smart enough collectively with council's guidance to buy half of our need going out all the way to 2029 at under $30 a megawatt.
You
Now
mean
it's
why
$50
isn't the municipal budget portion that you contribute to pay down the municipal budget going up double? I don't understand. It is double. Your fund balance is double what it was in 22 and 23. So you're right. Am I misreading this? The balance at the beginning of the year was 14. We put 6.3 million towards budget support.
Correct.
And you still have $8 million left
Correct.
in free balance. And 3 years ago you had $4.3 million left. So you got an extra $4 million now. Maybe you can explain it to me offline. We don't need to discuss this.
Sure. Sure. I mean, we were in financially challenged position in 2023. We're in a more solid position, but it's a more rocky future with the contracts. So
Right.
and the costs. So
Well, why don't you want to estimate that you're going to get more revenue in the community when you add some residential units, that you don't have any of that usage right now? But anyway, let's discuss that offline.
Yeah, we can talk about that offline.
Yeah, it's great,
Absolutely.
Jim. Very thorough. Thank you, sir.
All right, anything else? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
We'll start for the presentations. We now move on to ordinance for hearing. Will the clerk please read the statement?
Yes, the ordinances scheduled for hearing were introduced by title and passed on first reading at the regular meeting of the council held on January the 12th, 2026. They were posted and filed according to law, and copies were made available to the general public requesting same.
I call up ordinances for second reading and ask the clerk to read said ordinance by title. Ordinance 1-2025.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison, excuse me, the Borough of Madison, supplementing Chapter 7 of the Borough Code to add a new section 7-5 regarding 100% disabled veterans tax refunds.
I open the hearing on ordinance 1. Anyone in the public, please use the raise hand function if you want to comment on ordinance 1. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, I move ordinance 1-2025.
Second.
Any council discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Landrigan,
Yes.
Mr. Harlan-Pudis,
Yes.
Ms. Honahan,
Yes.
Mr. Forte,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen.
Yes.
I declare ordinance 1-2025 adopted and finally passed, and ask the clerk to publish notice thereof in the newspaper and file the ordinance according to law. Ordinance 2-2026.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $620,000 from the General Capital Improvement Fund for capital improvements to Shady Lawn Drive, Dogwood Drive, Harwood Drive, and East Street.
Mayor,
Open the hearing on ordinance 2. Anyone wishing to comment, please raise your hand. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, I move ordinance 2-2026.
Second.
Any council discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Landrigan,
Yes.
Mr. Harlan-Pudis,
Yes.
Ms. Honahan,
Yes.
Mr. Forte,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen.
Yes.
I declare ordinance 2-2026 adopted and finally passed, and ask the clerk to publish notice thereof in the newspaper and file the ordinance according to the law. Ordinance 3-2026.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison amending and supplementing Chapter 45 of the Borough Code entitled Shade Tree Management Board to include commemorative tree application fees.
I open the hearing. Anyone in public wishing to comment, please click on raise hand. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, I move ordinance 3-2026.
Second.
Any council discussion?
So, Mayor, just so you know, I was at the Shade Tree Committee meeting last week, and we explained this briefly to the community at your last meeting in case anybody's listening now. This is an application if you want to have the borough put a commemorative tree for any reason. There's a committee that reviews it, and then there's a small fee, but there's also the charges from the shade tree or the borough to plant the tree after you select the type of tree. There's a few of these a year. And you could put a plaque on your tree. There's plaques all over the borough. They're going to try and control that a little bit better too.
Thank you for explaining.
Yeah, it's evolving.
Effort to standardize.
Good to have.
Yep. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Landrigan,
Yes.
Mr. Harlan Budis,
Yes.
Ms. Honahan,
Yes.
Mr. Forte,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen.
Yes.
I declare ordinance 3-2026 adopted and finally passed. I ask the clerk to publish notice thereof in the newspaper and file the ordinance in accordance with the law. We now go on to our second of two public comment periods. This is when you may comment on any topic. Anyone wishing to comment, use the raise hand function. When you are promoted, please state your name and address. Try to keep your comments to 3 minutes, but we will give you a 1 minute grace period. Anyone wishing to comment, please raise your hand. And we will promote Bridget Daly, followed by Tina Monahan. Bridget, bring her up.
Thank you. I just have a question really for based on Ryan's presentation.
Name and address first.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. Bridget Daly, 28 Keep Street.
Yep, go ahead.
So I just really have a question based on Ryan's really good presentation. It's interesting to hear that the peak consumption season for water is June through September, which I think it's probably fair to assume is due to mostly lawn irrigation. So as a point of comparison, I would just like to know, how does that compare to the non-peak periods during the rest of the year?
All right, I'll capture that, and I don't know if we'll whether be able to get the answer now, but we'll try. If not, we'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
No, that's my only question.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget. And Tina Monahan.
Good evening, Mayor Conley, council members, and fellow residents. I'm Tina Monahan at 19 Green Hill Road and a member of the Friends of the Drew Forest Steering Committee. So on behalf of my committee, I have 3 quick items to share. First, I just have to mention that we are still feeling the buzz of appreciation for the perseverance over the past 5 years by all involved in purchasing the Drew Forest at long last. So many thanks once again for making that happen. Secondly, as surprising as this may sound today, once it warms up a bit, winter can actually be a great time to take a hike through the forest where bird activities are easier to see without the foliage. Animal footprints are very fun to track. And of course, the physical and mental health benefits are endless. It's an invigorating experience no matter what time of year, truly a 4-season resource for Madisonians. Just wanted to mention that. Last but not least, just a reminder, as many of you are aware, the Friends of the Drew Forest committed to raising $2.5 million to be matched by private philanthropists as part of the total package securing the forest's preservation in perpetuity. We're thrilled to be part of this historic effort and its fundraising component, and just wanted to mention that if anyone would like information or to help, please contact us through our website, friendsofthedrewforest.org. And that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Tina, and thank you for the update. And yes, we're still feeling that great excitement, but as you pointed out, we still have to raise the total of $5 million with the 2.5 million. So thank you for bringing that to the forefront. Anyone wishing to comment, please raise your hand. Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting. I see Ryan, you're still logged in. Would you be able to address that question related to how much of an increase we get in water usage, which is in this summertime, which is probably primarily irrigation, maybe some swimming pools? Welcome back.
Sorry, yeah, I don't know if you could hear me.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was a good question. So normally in the summertime, like she said, that's normally due to irrigation. So we're like in the 2.5 million range per day. When it's off peak, we're kind of hovering between 1.7 to 2 million gallons, something in that sweet spot. So I mean, it's, significant amount more in the summertime, but like I said, that's kind of mostly due to the irrigation. So I think you're.
So 20.
I think you're muted again. Sorry.
No, I was hitting the space bar and my finger was slipping. But so we're looking at a 20% plus variance from off season to irrigation season, which
Yep.
And I think Bridget's point is if we could reduce our amount of irrigation, which is really not necessary, we could make a major difference in the aquifer.
Sure. Yep.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for sticking around.
No problem.
All right, now we move on to introduction of ordinances. Will the clerk please read the statement?
The ordinance is scheduled for first reading, have a hearing date set for February the 9th, 2026. All will be published in the Madison Eagle, posted on the bulletin board, and made available to members of the public requesting copies.
I call up ordinances first reading and ask the Borough Clerk to read said ordinances by title. Ordinance 4-2026.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $500,000 from the General Capital Reserve for renovations and restoration of the east wing of the Hartley Dodge Memorial.
Mayor, I move ordinance 4-2026.
Second.
And this is not only appropriating money for the renovation East Wing, this represents the $500,000 payment from the Madison Historical Society, who in exchange for use of the main floor to create a museum for Madison, they're putting $500,000 into the project. This does not include the actual improvements they're doing in their area for exhibit space and so on, which would come out of their own coffers. Any other comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Harold Putis?
Yes.
Ms. Honahan?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
Ms. Cohen?
Yes.
Ordinance 5-2026.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $180,000 from the Open Space Recreation and Historic Preservation Trust Fund with $20,000 matching funds from the General Capital Fund for improvements to Rosedale Field.
Mayor, I move ordinance 5-2026.
Second.
And this is well-needed improvements to the field there. Any other comments? Melissa?
Yeah, just to say that I think this is a great example of a pilot program of natural turf going back into instead of artificial turf, and making sure that we maintain that field appropriately. We have some great leadership with good education in Brian Monahan from the Open Space Recreation, and has a great deal of knowledge from Rutgers on turf management. So I think this could be a great example of natural turf for our kids to plan.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Any other comments?
So Mayor, the goal is that we're going to have it installed for the spring and rest it. for the spring, so there won't be any activity. This is the Rosedale soccer field,
Right.
and this is maximum that we already have some estimates and some
Right.
good quotes.
And the reason we are doing this ordinance right now is so we can get this out in the streets for the bid and get it going in time.
Correct.
For this.
Yeah, right around the corner.
Yep.
Thank you. Thanks, council.
Any other comments? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Landrigan,
Yes.
Mr. Harlan Putis,
Yes.
Ms. Honahan,
Yes.
Mr. Forte,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen.
Yes.
And ordinance 6-2026, not also read by title, but I think it said it's best to read the full ordinance into the record.
Yes,
Yep.
I can do that.
Because
Okay,
it was a late posting. Okay.
right. So this is ordinance 6, 2026. Ordinance of the Borough of Madison authorizing the purchase of the Drew Forest and Madison House. Whereas the Borough of Madison in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, a public corporation and politic of the State of New Jersey, is authorized by NJSA 40A:12-5 to acquire any real property by purchase, and whereas Drew University is a New Jersey nonprofit educational corporation having a campus at 36 Madison Avenue, New Jersey 07940, more formally identified as Block 3001, Lot 1 on the borough's official tax map. And whereas pursuant to a settlement of claims asserted by the university against the borough in the matter entitled, in the matter of the application of the Borough of Madison, Superior Court of New Jersey, Law Division, Morris County Docket Number MRSL 1694-15, the litigation, the borough agreed to facilitate a purchase of a portion of the property commonly known as the Drew Forest and another smaller parcel identified in the settlement as Parcel A, consisting of approximately 36.724 acres, Parcel D consisting of approximately 10.594 acres, and Parcel F consisting of approximately 0.987 acres, collectively the property, for $24,200,000. And whereas the settlement of claims in the litigation was memorialized in the settlement agreement dated January the 11th, 2026. And whereas the property is a governmental designated environmentally sensitive area and identified habitat for the federally endangered Indiana bat and a recharge zone for the buried Valley Aquifer, a sole source aquifer for the borough and other municipalities with a United States Forest Service score from 97 to 99 out of 100 for importance to surface drinking water index. And whereas the property offers attractive public passive recreation and educational uses and environmental benefits, and whereas the borough has determined acquisition of the property for permanent preservation will benefit the public, and whereas the borough will facilitate the purchase of the property by coordination of various federal, state, and county grants, borough funds, and private donors. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the Council of the Borough of Madison, the County of Morris, and State of New Jersey as the follows. Section 1, the best interest of the borough and public are served by acquiring the property. And Section 2, the borough authorizes any and all necessary and appropriate actions by municipal officials, including the mayor, clerk, and professionals to acquire the property. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by law. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you for reading that. You can take a drink of water from the aquifer at this point.
Yes.
Can I have a motion for the ordinance that was just read into the record?
Mayor, I move ordinance 6-2026.
Second.
All right. And just obviously, this is a monumental step for us. And as Tina Monahan kind of set the stage for this, another big step. There'll be a lot of resolutions and ordinances that we'll be passing to make this become a reality. And all that confusion in that one whereas So the Drew Forest consists of the area which is normally identified the forest, but also land at the corner of Glenwild and Green Village Road, which typically is not considered part of the forest. That's why it talks about miscellaneous other properties. Area D is the Zook Arboretum, and then area parcel F is the Madison house and the immediate property around that. So that's where that all comes together. Any other discussion, comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Landrigan,
Yes.
Mr. Harlan-Pudis,
Yes.
Ms. Hanahan,
Yes.
Mr. Forte,
Yes.
and Ms. Cohen.
I need to recuse myself.
Yes, thank you.
All right, and now we move on to consent agenda resolutions. Will the clerk please read the statement?
Consent agenda resolutions will be enacted with a single motion. Any resolution requiring expenditure is supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any resolution requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. All resolutions will be reflected in full in the minutes.
Mayor, I move resolutions R60 2026 through R65 2026.
Second.
Any discussion or any that need to be pulled? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Landrigan,
Yes.
Mr. Harlan-Pudis,
Yes.
Ms. Hanahan,
Yes.
Mr. Forte,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen.
Yes.
All right, there is no unfinished business. Approval of the vouchers. Will the clerk please read the voucher totals?
From the current fund, $4,713,794.95. From the general capital fund, $24,630.83. From the electric operating fund, $774,514.26. From the water operating fund, $34,400.84. And from the trust, $21,498.33. Total is $5,568,839.21.
Motion.
I'll make a motion to move the bills list.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion, any questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Landrigan,
Yes.
Mr. Harlan-Pudis,
Yes.
Ms. Hanahan,
Yes.
Mr. Forte,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen.
Yes.
All right, under new business, I'd like to make the following appointments. This is a follow-up from a reorganization meeting. Appointment of Borough officials, Housing Officer Michael Pelessier. This is an annual appointment. Downtown Development Commission. This is a cleanup from the reorganization meeting, just making sure terms line up properly. Unexpired 3-year term through December 31st, 2028. George Coronas, at-large rep, and Local Emergency Planning Council for 2026 OEM Coordinator Captain Joseph Longo and Deputy OEM Coordinator Michael Pelessier. Request motion and approval by the council.
Mayor, I'll move the foregoing appointments.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Let the record reflect is unanimous, and we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Ms.
Mayor,
Cohen?
I move to adjourn the meeting and hope to be in person in 2 weeks.
Yes. Hopefully this, fingers crossed, we won't see another storm like this before the next meeting, but thank you all. And for those in the public, thank you for logging in and joining us tonight, and keep warm and don't shovel too much.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.